Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening for our prayer and discussion. It's it may seem simple, but we're contributing to interfaith harmony and the coming together of humanity through mutual respect. So I'd like to ask for Santa, please, to do the acknowledgement of country.
Colin, can you please? We acknowledge and pay respect to the past, present, and future traditional custodians and elders of this nation we call Australia, and continuation of culture, spiritual, and educational practices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. We acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander tribes were the first sovereign nation of Australian continent. The Gadigal and Eora nation are the traditional custodian of this place we now call Sydney, and Wangal people are traditional owners of Burwood, where I am.
Thank you.
Shall we start the music?
Yes.
Okay.
And watch us where we go, and help us to be wise in times when we don't know. Let this be our prayer when we lose our lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, to a place where we'll be safe.
La luce che tu dai,
I pray we'll find your
nel
light
cuore resterà,
and hold it in our heart.
Ricordarci
When
che
stars go out each night,
l'eterna stella sei nella mia preghiera.
let this be our prayer.
Quanta fede
When shadows
c'è,
fill our day,
lead us to a place,
guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be safe.
sogniamo un mondo senza più violenza, un mondo say.
Another soul to love. Let this be our
Prayer,
Let this be your prayer.
just like every child.
Just like every child. Need to find a place. Guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be saved.
Nella fede che hai acceso in noi, sento che ci
This wisdom derived from scalar right and the wisdom of experience, I shall proclaim to thee, leaving nothing unsaid among thousands of men. But one, maybe will strive for yourself, for self-perfection, and even among these who have won perfection crown, but one maybe will come to know as I really am into writing Bhagavad.
Test me.
Okay. The teaching which recommends that the work performed with the view of performing one's duty honestly shall bring forth happiness. The teachings which lead mankind to the real knowledge and wisdom, enriching thee, O Mizda, its rewards. Zoroastrian writing, Gata, Yasna 28, verse 13. Thank you.
To drink Hema is to be serene. Wisdom finds delight in the noble Hema. Wind will not move rock, nor phrase and blame a wise man. The words of the Hema flow into him. He is clear and peaceful, like a lake. Buddhist writings, Hamapada.
Thou wilt guide me with thy counsel, and afterward receive me with glory. Whom have I in heaven but thee? And besides thee I desire none upon earth. My flesh and my heart faileth, but God is the rock of my heart and my portion forever. Jewish writings.
It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. Christian Writings, Matthew.
If all the trees that are upon the earth were to become pens, and if God should after that swell the sea into 7 seas of ink, his words would not be exhausted, for God is mighty, wise. Islamic Writings, Quran Surah 31, 30-34. And yet, is not the object of every revelation to effect a transformation in the whole character of mankind, a transformation that shall manifest itself both outwardly and inwardly, that shall affect both its inner life and external conditions? For if the character of mankind be not changed, the futility of God's universal manifestations would be apparent. Baha'i Writings. Thank you, everyone, for reading and participating. And we'll call on Colin to give his presentation, which I have not heard of this person, so that you're going to be talking about. So it'll be very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. This is someone my dad was moved by his story, and so when I saw the book online, I read the story and was moved too. So, and now I'm moved to share it if I can find it. Not that one yet. So Thomas Breakwell, this short book is online, or you can buy it. I think it was put together by his family or his descendants. And he lived in the late 19th century, early 20th century, just a short life. I think he passed away when he was 30. But before recounting the story of Thomas Breakwell, it's helpful to think briefly about a couple of concepts about, well, the covenant is a Baha'i, well, it runs through all religions, but this particular covenant in the Baha'i faith is that Baha'u'llah appointed his son Abdu'l-Baha as the center to which all should turn. But his name means servant, servant of glory, servant of Baha'u'llah, and that's how he saw himself, as a servant. And it's also about being prepared for the next world. So I'd just like to start with a few quotes from a letter written by Abdu'l-Baha to a scholar, a Baha'i named Mirza Abul Fazl. Mirza Abul Fazl was a Muslim scholar who, I guess you could say he opposed the Baha'i faith, and then he was taught by a blacksmith and became a Baha'i. Now, what happened is that Mirza Abul Fazl wrote to Abdu'l-Baha inquiring about the
Are you there, Colin?
Colin is frozen.
Right.
Your screen somehow not moving.
Can you see my screen there?
Yes.
Okay, can you let them know that I'm just fixing my computer?
Oh, Colin is fixing his screen. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Was Colin's father a Baha'i?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Is Jiva's picture of the Canadian bush, or where is it? Where is it?
Sorry, Tracy. I think this is from Haifa. You mean the Jiva's picture?
Yes. Where's that taken?
I think it's from Haifa, Israel.
Haifa in Israel.
Yeah, yeah.
Very
Where the
beautiful.
where the
Here's Colin coming back.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yes, sorry about that. It's because I've been getting warnings for 6 months that my computer is nearly full and that things aren't going to work properly, and I just ignored them. So,
Okay. Pardon? You should do a disk cleanup.
yes, yes, I should.
Quite quick, simple.
Here we go. I think this will work. Okay, it's going to work. Good. I'll just make sure I've got sound going now. All right, sorry about that. So Mirza Fazl wrote to Abdu'l-Baha. He said, is it true that your own brothers and most of your family have turned against you and rebelling? And he received a lengthy letter in response, 26th of March, 1897. And there's a provisional translation online. I've got the link there. And what it is that they were accusing Abdu'l-Baha of claiming a station of lordship for himself. And his reply shows that he only wanted the station of servitude. And this is just a few extracts from Abdu'l-Baha's letter to Mirza Abul Fazl. Under all circumstances, I shall not barter away an atom of servitude for the oceans of divinity and lordship. And from the same tablet, at all events, this servant will not exchange the prayer mat of thraldom for the throne of lordship, nor will I barter servitude unto the threshold of the blessed beauty for sovereignty over all the worlds. Those who seek pretext should look for another excuse to attack me, and should look for other false rumors in order to confuse the minds and perplex the thoughts of the wavering friends. For this previous arrow did not have any penetrative power, and the poison of that dagger did not harm the heart. And a little further on in the same letter, O my God, raise me up to thee, that this fire burning in my limbs and loins may be extinguished, and that this perpetual storm and dust cloud which reaches the heavens may be rendered calm and tranquil. It is only then that my spirit will be comforted, and my heart will be quickened, and my essence will be gladdened by thy bounty and thy loving providence. For thy loved ones, I am a burden unto them, and thy servants suffer because of my existence. Shortcomings have encompassed me, and I have failed to achieve that to which I had aspired in this day of resurrection, O my forgiving God. Rescue me, free me from these wastelands, and save me from these grievous years. Thou art the Saviour of every contrite servant. So that's Abdu'l-Baha from the prison city of Akka in northern Palestine. And you can find a provisional translation of the full tablet online. Now, before we move on to the story of Thomas Breakwell, I just wanted to sing a song written by a friend of mine, Greg Parker, who's passed away. He directed a choir in Western Australia, and they sang this song. In fact, it was part of a kind of a musical that he put together. He called it the Martyrs Song. And I'll scroll the words while it's playing. Tracy, if you can't hear the music, just signal to me. I think I've got the sound sharing, but I'll start and just tell me if you don't hear.
dance and caper in the marketplace. Then dance a while, their laughter fills a place. When self is slain, they clap their hands in glee and dance, because from evil they are free. Away, away, we go away to the presence of our beloved. Away, away, we go away to the presence of our beloved. Away, away, we go away to the presence of our beloved. Away, away, we go away to the presence of our beloved.
That song was part of a musical or a play about the early believers who, in those days, many of them suffered a kind of physical martyrdom. In these days, especially in the West, we don't, thankfully, we don't have to go through that, but we still need to sacrifice our desires. So Thomas Breakwell, a full story is online. You can look it up. I'm going to stop share here and put the story on screen. So the introduction of this story is about the first followers of the Baha'i faith. These first followers understood that they were witnesses to the dawn of a new age of enlightenment. One such soul was Thomas Breakwell. His brief life may appear to have left no tangible legacy, but he was endowed with a truly remarkable station. Having become a Baha'i in the summer of 1901, Thomas Breakwell passed away barely a year later, aged only 30. Set afire with the love of God, his deep devotion exemplifies that profound mystical relationship which unites the lover with his beloved. Thomas Breakwell was born on 31st of May 1872 in the small market town of Woking in Surrey. Thomas, the youngest of 5 children, was educated at an ordinary state school before his family emigrated to the United States. There, Thomas was able to take up a responsible position in a cotton mill in one of the southern states, from which he derived a considerable income. His comfortable financial position enabled him to pay regular visits to his relatives in England each summer and to take long holidays on the continent. His sensitivity towards things of the spirit led him, while taking the steamer to France in the summer of 1901, to make the acquaintance of a certain Mrs. Milner. The latter, although having no personal interest in religion, felt impelled, seeing Breakwell's passion for spiritual subjects, to speak to him of one of her friends in Paris, who had, she said, found a philosophy which had given meaning to her life. The young woman in question was none other than May Bolus, the future May Maxwell. May Maxwell is one of those early believers. She's from Canada, and I think there's been a book written about her and her family. In 1901 and 1902, the Paris group of Baha'is numbered between 25 and 30 people, with May Bowles as a spiritual teacher, guide and teacher. On a pleasant day that summer, May Bowles opened the door to Thomas Breakwell and Mrs. Milner. As she entered, Mrs. Milner said, smiling, he was a stranger, and she took him in. May's attention was immediately drawn to this young man of medium height, slender, erect and graceful, with intense eyes and an indescribable charm. May made no actual mention of the divine revelation during their first meeting. The conversation mainly centered on theosophy, the details of Thomas's work and his projected trip through Europe. As he was leaving, Thomas asked if he might call on her again the following day. When I was here yesterday, he said, I felt a power, an influence that I had felt once before in my life, when, for a period of 3 months, I was continually in communion with God. I felt during that time like one moving in a rarefied atmosphere of light and beauty. My heart was on fire with love for the Supreme Beloved. I felt at peace, at one with all my fellow men. Yesterday, when I left you, I went alone down the Champs-Élysées. The air was warm and heavy, not a leaf was stirring, when suddenly a wind struck me and whirled me around me, and in that wind a voice said, with an indescribable sweetness and penetration, Christ has come again, Christ has come again. Then she, that's May, spoke to him of the Bab, his exalted mission, his martyrdom, and the thousands of Babis who sacrificed their lives to establish the faith. Then she told him of the coming of Baha'u'llah, the Blessed Beauty, who shone upon the world as the Son of Eternity, and some of his laws and teachings. For 3 days, Thomas absorbed May's words. For the first, he accepted the message without reservation and eagerly received all the books which May had to give him. His enthusiasm grew even greater when she recounted her pilgrimage to Akka, where she had met the Master, Abdu'l-Baha. The experiences which May had in the presence of this holy being so much impressed Breakwell that, sighing deeply, he decided there and then to break with his old life and cancel all his travel plans. From that moment on, he had only one desire, to be received by Abdu'l-Baha, to contemplate the face of his beloved. On the 3rd day, he decided to write to Abdu'l-Baha to inform him of his acceptance of the Baha'i faith and to seek his permission to make pilgrimage to Akka. It was a letter of only 2 lines. My Lord, I believe, forgive me. Thy servant, Thomas Breakwell. According to May's account, the simplicity of this request was typical of Thomas. She was intrigued by his appeal for forgiveness, the significance of which, she said, only became apparent later. Thomas Breakwell enjoys the unique distinction of being the first Englishman to make the journey to the Holy Land as a Baha'i pilgrim. May Maxwell describes that first visit of the 2 young Western gentlemen to the city of Akka and their arrival at the house of Abdullah Pasha. That's where Abdu'l-Baha lived. They were ushered into a spacious room, at one end of which stood a group of men in Oriental garb. Herbert Hopper's face, that's the other young man accompanying him, became irradiated with the joy of instant recognition. But Breakwell discerned no one in particular among these men. Feeling suddenly ill and weak, he seated himself near a table. With a sense of crushing defeat, wild and desperate thoughts rushed through his mind, his first great test, for without such tests the soul will never be unveiled. Sitting thus, he bitterly lamented. Why had he come here? Why had he abandoned his projected journey and come to this remote prison seeking he knew not what? May emphasizes this moment as one in which Thomas's soul was poised to rend asunder whatever veils still obscured the sun of reality. His despair tortured him until suddenly a door opened and revealed the figure of the Master. Immediately, Thomas recognized his Lord. In his interview with Abdu'l-Baha, Thomas explained how he enjoyed substantial remuneration from his work in the United States, but he also expressed a sudden conviction of sin when he added that these mills were run on child labor. The master looked at him gravely and silently, then said, "Cable your resignation." May's account tells how Thomas obeyed Abdu'l-Baha at once. With one stroke, he had cut all ties to his former life and was relieved of his crushing burden. He now had only one desire, to please the master. Although only moments earlier he had felt weak and full of doubt, he was now completely transformed. Thomas did not have time to meet all the Baha'i friends in Akka. Because of regulations imposed by the authorities, his visit was restricted to 2 days only. When the moment of departure finally arrived, Abdu'l-Baha asked him to settle permanently in Paris. Back in Paris, Thomas lost no time in sharing with others the wonderful spirit which the master had released within him. The firmness of his faith was apparent to all, as was his sincere wish to serve the cause and obey the covenant. May writes of him in the following terms: "Those days in the prison of Akka, when the master's all-consuming love and perfect wisdom had produced that mystic change of heart and soul which enabled him to rapidly free himself from all earthly entanglement and to passionately attach himself to the world of reality, brought great fruits to the faith. Although he had been used to living fairly comfortably, Thomas now completely changed his way of life. He returned to his studies and went to live in an inexpensive neighborhood." In the meetings, he spoke with a simplicity and eloquence which won the hearts and quickened the souls. And the secret of his potent influence lay in his supreme recognition of the manifestation of God in the Bab and in Baha'u'llah, and of the sublime center of the covenant, Abdu'l-Baha. Thomas wrote to the master, happily saying that if he were a Persian, he would have chosen to be a martyr. He had been admitted to hospital and was in the tuberculosis ward, but news from the young man continued to reach Akka, conveying an ever-increasing joy despite his suffering. Although Thomas could have asked for healing, he never did, but prayed always for greater suffering. The more his illness consumed him, the greater his joy became. Hippolyte Dreyfus, who was able to visit Thomas in hospital, relates how the young Englishman spoke to the other patients enthusiastically about the Baha'i faith. Some of his listeners were upset by his message, others criticized it. But Thomas, unperturbed, maintained his tranquility and told them that he was not going to die, but was merely departing for the kingdom of God, and that he would pray for them in heaven. Writing of his pain, he said, "Suffering is a heady wine. I am prepared to receive that bounty which is the greatest of all. Torments of the flesh have enabled me to draw much nearer to my Lord. All agony notwithstanding, I wish life to endure longer, so that I may taste more of pain. That which I desire is the good pleasure of my Lord. Mention me in his presence." Thomas Breakwell breathed his last at 7 p.m. on 13th of June 1902 at number 200 Rue Faubourg Saint-Denis. He was 30 years of age. He had been a Baha'i for hardly 1 year, but from that moment on, he possessed all eternity to live and proclaim his faith. Yunus Khan was the doctor of Abdu'l-Baha. Yunus Khan recounts the following story regarding the master's continuing attachment to Thomas after his passing from this earthly plane. Abdu'l-Baha called me one day to his presence to give me letters to translate. There were many envelopes sent from various places. While examining them, still sealed, he all of a sudden picked out one and said, "How pleasing is the fragrance that emanates from this envelope. Make haste, open it, and see where it comes from. Make haste. In it there was a postcard. The postcard was coloured a beautiful shade, and attached to it was a solitary flower, a violet. Written in letters of gold were these words: "He is not dead. He lives on in the kingdom of God." Further, there was this sentence: "This flower was picked from Breakwell's grave." When I told the master what the message of the postcard was, he at once rose up from his seat, took the card, put it on his blessed brow, and tears flowed down his cheeks. And Abdu'l-Baha wrote this tablet in honor of Thomas Breakwell. Grieve thou not over the ascension of my beloved Breakwell, for he hath risen unto a rose garden of splendors within the Abha paradise, sheltered by the mercy of his mighty Lord. And he is crying at the top of his voice, "Oh, that my people could know how graciously my Lord hath forgiven me and made me to be of those who have attained his presence." O Breakwell, O my dear one, where now is thy fair face? Where is thy fluent tongue? Where thy clear brow? Where thy bright comeliness? O Breakwell, O my dear one, where is thy fire, blazing with God's love? Where is thy rapture at his holy breaths? Where are thy praises lifted unto him? Where is thy rising up to serve his cause? O Breakwell, O my dear one, where are thy beauteous eyes, thy smiling lips, the princely cheek, the graceful form? O Breakwell, O my dear one, thou hast quit this earthly world and risen upward to the kingdom. Thou hast reached unto the grace of the invisible realm and offered thyself at the threshold of its Lord. O Breakwell, O my dear one, thou hast left the lamp that was thy body, here the glass that was thy human form, thy earthly elements, thy way of life below. O Breakwell, O my dear one, thou hast lit a flame within the lamp of the company on high. Thou hast set foot in the Abha paradise. Thou hast found a shelter in the shadow of the blessed tree. Thou hast attained his meeting in the haven of heaven. O Breakwell, O my dear one, thou art now a bird of heaven. Thou hast quit thine earthly nest and soared away to a garden of holiness in the kingdom of thy Lord. Thou hast risen to a station filled with light. O Breakwell, O my dear one, thy song is even as bird song now. Thou pourest forth verses as to the mercy of thy Lord, of him who forgiveth ever. Thou wert a thankful servant, wherefore hast thou entered into exceeding bliss. O Breakwell, O my dear one, thy Lord hath verily singled thee out for his love, and hath led thee into his precincts of holiness, and made thee to enter the garden of those who are his close companions, and hath blessed thee with beholding his beauty. O Breakwell, O my dear one, thou hast won eternal life and the bounty that faileth never, and a life to please thee well and plenteous grace. O Breakwell, O my dear one, thou art become a star in the supernal sky and a lamp amid the angels of high heaven, a living spirit in the most exalted kingdom, throned in eternity. O Breakwell, O my dear one, I ask of God to draw thee ever closer, hold thee ever faster, to rejoice thy heart with nearness to his presence, to fill thee with light and still more light, to grant thee still more beauty, and to bestow upon thee power and great glory. O Breakwell, O my dear one, at all times do I call thee to mind. I shall never forget thee. I pray for thee by day, by night. I see thee plain before me, as if in open day. O Breakwell, O my dear one. And just to finish off this paragraph, Thomas was not one of those many souls who chose to remain deprived of the spirit of life by wrapping themselves in bales of materialism. He possessed great qualities which enabled him to know the fire of love. Soon the overwhelming sense of solitude and despair, which had first enveloped him, became dissolved through the intense flame of his pure-hearted devotion. Instead, he was seized by transports of delight through meeting at last his beloved master. His ego and all its attachments was forgotten. He thus entered the valley of knowledge, where he came out of doubt into certitude, and from the darkness of illusion to the guiding light of the fear of God. So that's the story of Thomas Breakwell.
Thank you, Colin. That's good. Can you share that, whatever this document?
Yes.
With me?
Yeah, what I can do is I'll put the link
Okay.
where I've got all that. A few years ago, I gave a talk about it to the staff at the National Baha'i Office, so that essentially what I just read was the same. Anyway, I'll find the WhatsApp group and put it there. I thought it was interesting that he had a good business and a good life, and he was prosperous. And but it weighed on his mind that he was employing child labor. And the instant obedience is what is really, I don't know, something very special about that. He didn't have to think about it. He just, Abdul Baha said, resign your position, and he did.
I think there was some spiritual, something spiritually within him that led him to go like that. I don't think it happens to everybody. If somebody special, he was chosen, he was a special, like he was a chosen one.
Yeah, well, I wonder. I have a feeling that perhaps there are moments in everyone's life where they have an opportunity, they have a glimpse of what the spiritual world is like. But this material world is pretty strong. It keeps coming back at you. It's much more comfortable.
I just wonder, I have a question, Colin.
Yeah, I'll try to answer.
He was lucky to have the opportunity to meet the Baha'i prophets. But I just wonder if at that time, like somehow he met Buddha or one of the Bodhisattva of Buddha, then he probably would fall for them too. Or if he met one of the disciples of Jesus, he probably fall for them too. So he can fall for any prophets or the prophet's follower or disciple, you see, because he's very spiritual and he's very vulnerable. I mean, in his condition, probably physical, very weak, physical well-being, he's not, I don't think he got so much strength. So he probably would fall for any prophets. But as he crossed a path, his path somehow coincide with the path of the Baha'i faith.
And that sounds like a good thing, doesn't it? To recognize the love of God wherever it appears?
I wasn't sure what sort of medicine that they gave him. I mean, talk about real life fear. And I don't really know how the welfare system at that time supported him. But you can tell if somebody fall for the prophet or the people who hate religion so fast like that. You know, some other people might put a question on why he fall so fast. Not enough time for him to think about things properly or do investigation. Obviously, some people, when they see God, they can recognize God or identify God real quick in 1 second or 1 minute. But because he got his sort of sickness with him, so I don't know how much clarity his mind was. There's something that, well, we shouldn't be put questions on the people who were so ill. But there's something that we think about.
That's a good question. It reminds me of the story of two people walking towards the ocean. One was a Noah and the other one was a learned grammarian. And the Noah walked into the ocean, symbolic of the ocean of life. And then he said to the grammarian, come in. And the grammarian says, I can't. I think there's too much reasoning I've got to do first. So maybe maybe the mind and the reason isn't the main. It's a tool, but maybe it can also be a hindrance if we're attached to it. If the aim is for our eyes to be open or our heart to be open, it seems like a blessing if that can happen quickly.
It's interesting he had that spiritual experience with the wind, you know, and getting that message, and he hadn't been taught anything, but he just sort of, you know, he was like, it's like the man who became a Christian who wrote The Amazing Grace. He was a slave, you know, he had the boats taking the slaves, but that also weighed on his conscience. So when he encountered Jesus, that's why that song, Amazing Grace, I deserve to be condemned for the lives that I ruined. And so Blackwell he was a sensitive person. And yes, he had the opportunity to have the good life, but he experienced that the good life, material life, does not appease the conscience and the heart. So when his conscience could feel relieved and he had a way, and then that relief opened to the love. He encountered love. I mean, some people, when they have love at first sight with their future spouse, you know, and they fall head over heads in love, you know. But he fell in love with the messenger from God in his life at that time, and he just completely fell in love with God and the messenger, and they had this intense, you know, rapport. So it's quite amazing, really. It's sort of just the power of love, the power of forgiveness, the power of timing, that God wants us, all of us, you know, but not all of us are running slave labor or child labor, or we're not aware that our conscience is in pain. You know, it was more obvious in his life and in that other person's life. But maybe if we were more in touch with our conscience, we would receive God's grace more deeply and our hearts would be open, we'd feel that passion. But we're all different types of people too, you know, and somebody has to do the mundane things.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think if this world was always comfortable, then we wouldn't really, our soul might never be awakened. So I think God makes sure that we all get uncomfortable from time to time.
Mm. Yes, it's another thing of you can find liberation and salvation. It doesn't lead to everything going well. He died early. He exploded in love, and it was, I mean, he only had a year to live, so he threw himself into it.
Yeah.
And sometimes people, when they know they're going to die, they do the same thing. When they're told by the doctor, oh, you've only got so much time to live, they suddenly start living.
True. Yeah, when time's unlimited, it's like economics. If there's no shortage of supply, then you don't value it so much. But when there's a shortage of minutes left, you really value them. I should say that Abdu'l-Baha for Baha'is, he wasn't the messenger of God or a prophet. He was a servant.
Right. Sorry.
And yet, Thomas Breakwell, just by hearing about the Bab and Baha'u'llah, he believed.
Mm.
The words of servants, I think in that context, is a figurative. It has figurative meanings, but the real meaning is the leader. They're not much of a servants at all because they were leaders. But they use a figurative sort of sense and meaning so they can attract followers.
Yeah, Abdu'l-Baha had several stations given to him by Baha'u'llah. He chose to be called the servant of Baha'u'llah. And Baha'u'llah said he was also the perfect example of a Baha'i life. And also he was designated the center of Baha'u'llah's covenant. The covenant is an agreement between Baha'u'llah and his followers that you will remain united if you follow the center.
And also, when you look at the story, it is as if it is all meant to happen, because that he went to Paris and it was all meant to happen in his life. It was all planned for him.
Yeah, by God, yeah, exactly. Because this lady, Mrs. Milner, she wasn't interested in the spiritual things.
Yes.
She just happened to know May Maxwell. And yet, and she, what did she say? She said she used a phrase from the Bible. I was a stranger, and I found a stranger and took him in. That was quite nice.
Yes. God works in mysterious ways. It was also interesting his confidence that, to be working in heaven. I'm going to God's kingdom and I'm clocking in there.
Yeah.
I'll get my assignment.
Yeah.
And I'll be keeping on working in that realm. Okay, I don't need to be here. I know what life's like here. I'm going there and I'm going to get my job.
Yeah.
And do it.
Exactly. And there was something kind of very grounded and realistic about the story. When he was talking to the other people in the hospital, they thought he was just wrong and silly.
Yes. But okay, but I'll be praying for you.
Yeah.
It's okay, you can have your opinion. I'm not going to fight you. I'll just keep praying for you.
Yeah.
And that's a good model. But I feel that too, that okay, live here, and then when I pass, I report in. I'm sorry I couldn't do more. What do you want me to do now?
Yeah. Oh, you mean we don't just get to sit on a cloud and
And rest when we have the rest in peace? I don't think so.
no, I think after the first 1,000 years of resting on a cloud, you'd be looking for something to do. But I wonder if the experience of Thomas Breakwell is essentially the spiritual experience which people have when they're attracted, when they recognize and are drawn to, the founder of a religion, maybe the disciples of Jesus, even the followers of Jesus today can have that experience, I would think.
Yes.
Well, look, thank you for letting me present that story. And Anton apologized. He'd forgotten that he had a Baha'i 19-day feast tonight. The feast in my community, we had it on Friday. We're going to have it tomorrow instead. But Anton, I'm looking forward to his talk. I think he's going to be on the calendar on the 12th of June instead. And he was my supervisor for a few years at the National Baha'i Office when he was National Secretary. And he's just got his pilot's license, so we talk about flying. And he used to be general manager of Telstra in Brisbane. Now he's managing his wife's dental practice and doing a few other things.
It is very nice of him to accept with his busy schedule and the National Assembly meetings.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought that it would be very timely if he had have given it 2 weeks ago or tonight, because it's about electoral processes, and we had Australian election, the conclave, and Baha'i National Convention were all going on. But anyway, so we'll see. Actually, Anton and I were joking a short time ago. He said, your talk's going to be about the election process, but look, it's put you on the National Assembly, and look how hopeless you are at keeping commitments like this talk. Anyway, he was extremely apologetic.
Right.
Yeah.
These things. Look, Tesfaye may have some reflections to share too.
No, Tesfaye, you want to say something about the story? Or anything else? No. Is he muted?
Hello?
Yes.
We are waiting for you.
Oh, to tell this. Well, I don't have much knowledge about Breakwell. Years ago, I read that some part of the story, but today, Mr. Colin gave me a little bit further that I know. But it's very mysterious in this phase. And it's very mysterious how God works, how God wants us to be or to serve Him. There are many ways of serving God, but the most important thing, as I think, when he calls you to one specific area of work to perform which is face, you are a very lucky number, very, very lucky number. So I think Thomas gave all his life, all his love, as you have said, to Baha'u'llah and Abdul Bahá. And he lived a very short period of time. But in that very short of time, I think he has completed his work assigned for him. It seems like that too. So some serve the faith for 40, 30 years, for example. I'm being a Baha'i for 30 something years. And I declared my faith in Eritrea, a nation very close to Ethiopia. Now they are separated, Eritrea and Ethiopia. Then I pioneered to Ethiopia for 15 or 20 years. So some of the servants work many years, and some work very short. Those who work a very short time and go to the Abha kingdom, it means they have fulfilled their portion. And the Thomas' life is very heartbreaking, very, very heartbreaking. So there are some like Mirza Mehdi. He was a martyr in a very, very young age. So rarely we see like this. So maybe their sacrifice is very deep and profound. So Breakwell was very lucky to be appointed by Abdul Bahá and to serve a very short time. And it's very touching. And I never, I seldom saw, hear or read Abdul Bahá crying for individuals, for Baha'is. But for Breakwell, he lamented, he cried when he saw his letters. So these souls are really, really very precious souls. And I think they are praying for us also in these turbulent times to have peace, have harmony. So it's very touching, touching story. And I like your programs also because it's accompanied by very good music. As we know, music is a ladder for the soul. So I heard very, very beautiful music. Two of them very touching music. So accompanying by music make your programs very profound and spiritual. So I would like to even to share with the music they were played if that was read to my account. Okay, thank you, friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tesfaye. And just on that point about Thomas Breakwell's short life, in that book which I read extracts from, the point was made that Abdul Bahá's grandson, Shoghi Effendi, who was the guardian of the Baha'i faith for 36 years, I think, he said that he named the three, I don't know, most illustrious Baha'is of the United Kingdom, and Thomas Breakwell was one of them. And the other two had done a lot of great deeds over many years. When I say great deeds, courageous and that kind of thing. And so what did Thomas Breakwell do? It seems like nothing, and yet his willingness to obey and to sacrifice and to give himself, I don't know, it's just inspiring, and maybe that's the essence. Maybe that's what he's given to the world, his story.
Mm.
It's
And
very mysterious. It's a mystery, very, very mystery, which we cannot comprehend them in our in this earthly life. Sometimes I find some readings very mysterious and hidden things, and I say to myself, "Oh, this is the time for me to read the word." So it has a great mystery. Abdul Baha weeping profoundly. This is something which we don't know, which could not know here in this material world. So he has done many things in the spiritual life. It's very profound, and it's mystery also because this is God's mission. It is not the mission of the people or the human being. So I always remember Raquel as a very lucky guy. So the center of the covenant, receiving his letter, crying. This is very touching. So their spirit and their prayers are of God.
mm.
Vicente, we were talking earlier about next week, next Thursday, being a Baha'i holy day, and possibly not many people would be participating in their interfaith next Thursday.
Maybe next Thursday we will not have the meeting, Tracy and you, because it's a special day for the Baha'is, and we will postpone it, but we'll cancel the next week and have it the week after. But
Okay.
we'll put it in the group chat, interfaith group chat as well, that
Right.
so that everybody knows. So we will see you in 2 weeks' time, Tracy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And blessings be upon
But
you.
we did,
Thank you.
if there is a program schedule, I would like to see
Next Thursday we will. Yeah.
next Thursday.
Yes, on the 22nd.
Yeah, so nothing Tesfaye, nothing on the next week. We resume the week after.
The 29th, back on the 29th.
Okay. Jeva will keep me informed. Always Jeva is very constantly, very constant, very interested person. So he made me go up here with you. Okay, I will ask you for details.